All right, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Michael Cruz. I'm with SuccessWorks at the College of Letters and Science. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this Careers in Statistics, Data Science, and Analytics event. I'm going to go through a very quick um, intro and just overview of what this event will look like, and then we'll have a chance to hear from our alumni guests. So most of this event is going to consist of alumni in separate breakout rooms. We will share the alumni bios and some other information in the chat with you. And we encourage students to navigate between the rooms, spend some time talking to one of the alumni, and then switch it up, talk to someone else. So we have three great alumni here who are able to answer your questions and share their experiences. So we encourage you to rotate between the rooms and hear from them. And when you're in the breakout rooms, you can ask your questions on mic, you can raise your hand, you can type a question in the chat, whatever you like. So when we get started with breakout rooms, you'll see a screen like this, and you're just going to click on the name of the person that you want to join and click on that little join button. So we'll have three rooms, like I said. In room 1, we'll have Evan Boyd. In room 2, we'll have Rob VandenLangenberg. And in room 3, we'll have Ryan Zia. So I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I would like to turn it over to Evan to take a few minutes, tell us about your career path and experiences.
For sure. Thanks, Michael. So hello, everyone. I'm Evan, graduate from UW with a stats degree, which you probably would have guessed. But I live in Chicago right now. I grew up here, so I'm definitely a Midwestern guy. But right after college, I moved out of the Midwest to do an internship out in Bristol, Connecticut at ESPN. It was both a data analyst and a data science position where I got to learn how things are done in their stats and information department. And I worked with shows like Sports Center, Baseball Tonight, providing a lot of stat content for anchors and social media, things like that. And in addition, I worked in their analytics department, assisting with their fantasy projections, their team metrics. Basketball has BPI, things like that. So I've been in the sports analytics world. It's kind of fun. But after I interned at ESPN, I came back to Chicago to work for a company that was then called Stats LLC. It was now called Stats Perform out in Chicago. And from the start, I worked a lot on the research side for US broadcasts. So working for Fox, CBS, I actually worked a little bit for ESPN. It's funny how that worked, but and wondering what that is, I worked for a lot of major broadcasts and shows and things like that. So I've worked World Series, I've worked the NCAA March Madness tournament, other random games. If anyone is a fan of the Pittsburgh Pirates for some reason, I'm their main statistician for most of the year. So you might hear me from there, but I don't know. And I was, the statistician for them, but I'm actually moving to a new role at Stats Reform in their AI department, doing a lot of data science work. I'm prepping for the upcoming basketball season, college basketball, a little bit of NBA too, but while finishing up MLB playoffs. So a lot of that is creating preseason metrics and trying to, predict the upcoming season, how teams will do, how players will do, things like that. Generate win probabilities in game and over time. Looking really forward to do a lot of that work. But now that I've said all that, I guess the main question that I get after I hear that is, okay, that's cool, but what do you do? What do you actually do? And so while I'm prepping for these games, I'm taking a large data warehouse of sports information, historical sports data, and querying in SQL, finding historical facts, trends, things like that. Doing a lot of visualization in things like Tableau. And creating dashboards in there that clients can use in game or pre-game. And with this AI department, I use a lot of Python and R to generate win probability metrics and predictions and things like that. So it's a lot of programming and a lot of it that I learned at UW and also just learned on the job as well. So that's me. When I'm not working, you can probably see my two basses behind me. I like playing bass, big music guy as well as sports guy. I also, more importantly, I love connecting with others, especially former or current Badger alums. So, feel free to reach out to me for any assistance, whether it's during this call or after this call. I'd love to chat if you're possibly getting into the sports industry, or if you want to learn more about, what you can do with a stats degree, because it's a growing field. Even I graduated in 2017 from UW, and, it's expanded widely since then. So, but I'm looking forward to meeting you all.
Great. Thank you, Evan. Next, we'll turn it over to Rob.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. I'm Rob VandenLangenberg. I actually, a little bit different than maybe the other two panelists. I'm actually an industrial and systems engineering major. Graduated from Madison in 2009. And so found my way into sort of the data science career path a little bit differently. When I graduated, I was in manufacturing jobs for the first 3 years. Started out of school at a small manufacturing company in Florida, and then eventually moved when I took the job with John Deere to Dubuque, Iowa, where I was a manufacturing engineer for about 2.5 years before moving into a role as first a business analyst, then eventually data scientist, and then a few steps later into my current role as principal analytics data engineer. And so have picked up, I mean, of course, through the engineering background, I had some programming experience and statistics courses, not maybe as many statistics courses as a statistics major, but certainly some. And so yeah, I work now for John Deere. I'm just over 9 years, 9.5 years with John Deere. And I work for the aftermarket and customer support area of the company. And so we get involved with a really wide range of data science projects and work with large volumes of data. So we get involved with everything from forecasting service parts at our dealership locations to trying to predict machine usage in the field, to machine health and prognostics, where we're monitoring components on our equipment and predicting when there might be a downtime failure. But across John Deere, there's just so many applications of statistics and data science that I've had visibility to. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. I think it's fun to talk to current students and give some advice if there's anything that I can offer that's helpful. From my standpoint, like I said, we work with very, very large volumes of data. We get sensor measurements off of all of our machines which are active in the field, and so that's very, very large amounts of data to work with. And so we do a lot with Spark and in the cloud, AWS, those types of technologies, if you have questions about that. Otherwise, yeah, we also do, we are within the fall recruiting season. We have an internship program, and for those of you who are graduating, we do also recruit full-time positions through a development program for data science and analytics. So if those are of interest to you, stop by and chat, and we can talk some more about it.
Thanks, Rob. And last but not least, Ryan.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Mike. So yeah, my name's Ryan Z. Right now, I am a senior analytics manager at Exact Sciences in Madison. So our main product is Cologuard, and I'll get to how I got there and what I do at Exact Sciences. But I wanted to start off with where my career started. So I graduated from UW-Madison in 2014 with a master's in statistics. And from while I was a student there, I began working with the Department of Biostatistics and continued. That's where I got my career started from. I was there for a total of 8 years between the time that I was getting my master's degree and the time that I worked there. And I bounced around UW and did a whole bunch of different things. I was analyzing clinical trial data, creating safety reports for the data monitoring committees of clinical trial data. When I kind of felt like I had reached my maximum capacity of that, I actually jumped ship and moved over across campus to the Department of Statistics, where I taught classes, did some academic advising, dabbled a little bit in career advising. And then once I kind of hit my capacity there, I moved back to the Department of Biostatistics, where I continued to teach classes and mentor students, but also worked as a statistical consultant, working with the researchers over in the hospital side of UW. And what I did there is I really kind of did everything from A to Z in kind of data analysis. So helped design experiments, helped analyze the data, helped write the manuscript, and really kind of focused on that consultation practice. And so I think that, to me, that's the biggest thing about me that I have continued forward with my career. And I'm so appreciative of my start at UW is I really got to build that consultant arm where I really took the idea of data and analytics and thought that the most valuable part of it was telling the story and being able to answer questions with it, as opposed to just kind of doing the fanciest analysis that you could do. I love that job at UW. I always tell people, kind of tongue in cheek, I think it's the best job I would ever have in my entire life. Yet, lo and behold, I jumped ship and moved over into the corporate world, where I came to CUNA Mutual, which is another local Madison company. I started off there as a data scientist, and I was building models, predictive models for a marketing and sales department, looking at focused marketing or sales calls, or even looking at people like who was going to lapse in their insurance policy, and trying to predict who's going to lapse so we can call them and say, hey, stay with us. We really like you as a customer. I did that for close to 2 years, and then got the opportunity to move across campus at CUNA Mutual to our operations unit, where I led a team of analysts there doing operations analytics. There was a lot of call center data. CUNA Mutual, if you're not familiar with it, does a lot. They have a lot of products. They do retirement services, individual retirement wealth management things, and also they manage 401k plans for credit unions and small banks. But they also sell individual life insurance policies and things like that. So they have a lot of data that's all over the place on a lot of individuals. And it's also a really highly regulated field where you can't mix some of that data. So it was a really interesting place to work, and really kind of had to organize and understand how we were using the data and making sure that we were A, following the rules, and B, doing good analysis. So that was a lot of fun. I really loved leading the team there at CUNA Mutual. And then the opportunity came up to kind of move to Exact Sciences 3 months ago. So I don't have much to say about it yet. I'm still kind of new here at Exact Sciences. But I am a senior manager over here, and I am in commercial sales. So kind of going back to my data science roots, we are looking at Cologuard sales, which is the main product of Exact Sciences, and kind of looking at to see where we have gaps in those sales, and where we can, what levers can we pull to increase sales? Can we push our sales teams a little bit more? Can we incentivize them in a different way? And really just kind of overall that kind of big company mission of trying to screen as many people for colorectal cancer as possible. So that's where I got my kind of start, is at UW. Now I'm here at Exact Sciences, and now I'm here today speaking to you all. So thanks for coming, and really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Ryan, and thanks to all three of our panelists. Students, start thinking about questions that you might have for our alumni. I'd like to get things going here quickly before we go into breakout rooms. So I'll just, as generally, presumably students on the call are thinking about working in data science and analytics. So what advice do our alumni have for those students? What should they be doing now to prepare for those kinds of jobs and internships?
Program. That's it. No, I mean, like, there are a lot of different programs you learn, but I think, the three of us have three different jobs here, where I think is great because we all do similar things in general, because we're doing things like SQL and doing predictive analytics and things like that. So I think it's very important to learn various programs, be open to learning more too. I think you can start with SQL and then go into R and Python and things like that. And, from there you can do cloud computing, do Spark, do AWS, things like that. So, but I would definitely say, learn a few programs. And once you have that on your resume, people will really start getting interest in you. And then doing some stuff on the side too, trying to learn those things, just some, some side jobs. Whether it's just redoing something that someone did on Stack Overflow, or something online that you saw that was cool and you thought you could replicate. It's definitely good practice.
Yeah, I would second that. I think, having the hands-on programming experience with real world data and putting together some real examples of work that you've done, especially outside of your normal coursework. But the data skills are really important. It's important to understand the math and the models and the algorithms, of course, but there's a next level, to get to be able to have the strong programming skills and demonstrate that you can apply the concepts in real world data sets, and produce an output. So yeah, totally. And have fun with it. Make it a hobby. Do some. You can choose. You can pick whatever projects or things that you want to work on. So pick something fun and just get some experience, hands-on programming. It's not so important in my experience which language you prefer, if it's R or Python. As Evan said, just you can get a long way just starting with SQL if that's where you're at. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I think programming is definitely, especially something like SQL, which is so universal at this point, is really important. But I kind of want to take this in a little bit of a different direction and really kind of get at this idea that data and analytics right now is such an ambiguous field, of which it touches so many different things. I really appreciate Rob's background in engineering, because I think that I am seeing so much more of that in this field, where people are coming in from all sorts of different walks of life and all sorts of different backgrounds. I often make the joke that people who get their degree in something like marketing, they're going to know more data science than I do in the next couple of years, where it really is just, it's touching everything. And so my biggest piece of advice is kind of a fluffy piece of advice, and maybe we can get to some more meaty pieces later, but it really is find your passion. Because there's so many different ways to make an impact in this field, that if your passion is really understanding the nuts and bolts of it, really advanced modeling, do it and do it on your free time, enjoy it, and just like build the best models that you can possibly build, compete in all the Kaggle competitions and do all those sorts of things. If your passion is more taking that data and telling a story, go do it. There is an equal opportunity for those types of individuals to really make an impact in what they do, by really focusing on that storytelling and answering business questions and things like that as well, and kind of being what's been kind of labeled as a data science liaison. So really just find the thing that you care about the most and enjoy what you're doing, and don't feel like you have to get forced into a box in order to be a data scientist or analyst.
Thanks. I really appreciate the different perspectives that you all brought in there. I'm going to ask one more question before breakout rooms, and maybe we could just start with Ryan, because you were the last to speak, and we'll go in reverse order. What's the most rewarding or satisfying part of your work?
Ooh, that is so good. So this is, kind of gets back to what I was just saying about kind of finding what drives your passion. And as I kind of said in my introduction, the thing that I really enjoy more than anything else is really kind of that consulting and teaching part of what I did, taking that background from UW. And so the thing that I love the most is when I sit down with somebody, and I through a conversation with them, just an initial conversation, I get to pinpoint where they are in their analytics journey. So if it's somebody from the marketing department, for example, maybe they have no idea about anything data related, or maybe it's someone who's much more tech savvy, but meeting them where they are and then walking them through an analysis that I've built, or a model that I've built, and kind of a conclusion to it, and kind of seeing them walk that journey with me and saying like, wow, I really understand this and I really appreciate this because you've walked me through it And this is the first time someone has done that. That makes my heart really happy. And that's what really kind of drives me to come back to work every day.
Yeah, and I would kind of similar to that. I would say, I started in industrial engineering, right? And a big part of industrial engineering is optimization and process design, and really it's about, making smart decisions, making data-driven decisions, and operating it in an optimal way, right? And when I started with John Deere, John Deere started in 1837. So the company was about 175 years old when I joined it 9 years ago. Now we're coming up on 185. Well, they're pretty good at manufacturing, right? By now, but the data science space is so new, and the opportunity is so huge, that that's why I kind of transitioned, my career over. It's all those same kind of things that I love, optimization, or just making smarter decisions, and helping people, to make those decisions and operate in the best way possible. Just on a different scale now with all the data and the things available. So for me, yeah, it's just that the opportunity is so huge to make an impact anywhere you go. There's just mountains of data science project ideas, I'm sure, on the backlog everywhere, and things that they want to try and wish they could do, and hugely valuable stuff. So it's just an exciting space. And also, you're learning every day, right? We're a long ways from getting to the point where I feel like I come into work and know everything I need to know every day. So yeah, it's just an exciting space.
Yeah, it's so cool that you can really take anything with data these days. I mean, that wasn't the case 10 years ago, definitely not 20 years ago, but we're really starting to see that more and more. And for me, I mean, doing sports analytics, it was kind of just a dream of mine. I never thought I'd actually do it. I just thought, oh, that'd be cool. Kind of a big baseball fan growing up, big college basketball fan, and thought, oh, that'd be really fun to do and help out teams and networks and things like that. And I thought it'd just be so awesome. And when I got into the decision, that was kind of what I had in mind. But the more I work in it, the more I realize the most rewarding part is, I guess, just knowing that I'm making a difference. Providing notes or content, or changing the way we view certain games or players, even because of stats, and knowing that I help make a difference in that and try to create a story through data, I think is super rewarding and super fun to do. But yeah, I would just say that that's a really I don't know, just that is a really big part of knowing that, what I'm doing out here is seen by millions of people. And I think that, with sports analytics, especially, you have, it's really controversial, I would say, because, you have people who argue for more analytics in sports, people who argue against it. And I think in the future, we're going to see more and more of it. And I'm just really happy to see that I'm contributing to possible future work as well.